This printer's great. I'm telling you, this printer is great. I could go with my Windows 10 laptop here, 64-bit driver, 30-year-old printer, no problem printing documents. All right, let's get this over with. Well, it's been a while since we've had to do a video like this. Welcome to the CellGen Studios 2023 Year in Review. And we're going to bundle together with this the 2022 Year in Review, because for a number of reasons I wasn't able to do that video this time last year. All right, let's start off with 2022, because we have a lot to catch up on. So if we go back far enough, we can remember this. It started off fine at that point. Things were going good, videos were consistent, no other issues there. We were dealing with some problems with Twitter that were popping up at the time, and then we had absolute disaster strike. So I'm going to explain what happened here, and I'm going to be dead honest. In April 2022, I was borrowing my parents' car because my vehicle was in the shop for a scheduled engine rebuild. That was the first rebuild this engine had ever seen, so it was going to be out for several weeks. So I was borrowing their car to commute to and from work. Not a problem. I was stupid and I rear-ended another vehicle and I totaled their car. Now, thankfully, insurance didn't complain too much about the damage to the vehicle I hit because I drove into the back end of a cement truck. They had superficial damage. In fact, they had no damage at all. On the other hand, their nice, somewhat low kilometers Subaru vehicle was a write-off. They wrote the vehicle off. So that did not go over well with me. What also was quite devastating here is that my parents had just planned to use that vehicle to travel across Canada. And they had already been booking various events and places to stay and places to go with the expectation that they were going to use that vehicle, and suddenly they didn't have a vehicle. So I did not take that very well. Like, okay. So I did the math, I looked it up, and I told my parents, I promise to reimburse you on this and get you the money for a new car. I mean, they only spent like $7,000, and their insurance was going to pay them out for it anyways. But I promised to reimburse them for the trip as well. So I said I would get you $10,000. $10,000 for me is not easy to get. That's about a third of my annual income. That's a lot of money. So like traveling, like fuel expenses, like lots of food, like finding cool things and just vacationing wasn't going to happen. Everything got wiped off the slate because at this point and that point onwards, I personally was not allowing myself to make any other expenses. I had to pay my parents off first. They didn't like the idea, but I really hate owing people money. Most importantly, I really hate owing my parents money. Thankfully, what I was able to do here is that like I was getting in like a $1,500 paycheck every 2 weeks, and immediately, I was taking that $1,500, just taking $300 off of that, and the rest of it was going into savings. And I continued doing that. And by the time October rolled around, like I was beginning to get a little bit more comfortable that I was actually going to be able to pay this off by the end of the year. And I was able to travel a little bit, you know, Vancouver to Seattle. It was helping me a lot, if you understand what I'm talking about there. And finally, thankfully, for Christmas 2022, I was able to very happily stuff under the tree a giant novelty check for $10,000 and a $10,000 cashier's check taped to the back of it. So my parents were incredibly happy. There's 10 grand that they never expected to get that's just stuffed into their pocket. It's like winning the lottery. I was satisfied because I paid them back for what I owed them. They got themselves another car that's newer than the one that I wrote off, and they still had money in the bank to pay off all other bills. Like, they walked out of that year with no debts. They were very happy. Now, like I mentioned as well, that stopped all video production as well, because now I had to work overtime, and I had to also work really any other gig I could to try and make a little bit of money. I was so determined to this that when I got my vehicle back from the shop, which is a whole other nightmare of terrible maintenance and shoddy workmanship, I signed my vehicle over to my parents and told them, you can own my vehicle until I pay you off. If you are not satisfied with it, you can sell my car. I mean, I can bike to work, whatever. They weren't approving of it, but there you go. So when I was able to finally begin to resume my videos, you may have noticed there was a fair number of car maintenance videos, and that's just simply to take up the slack for stuff that I wasn't able to do because this table here was occupied with other things that I was doing. I really did not have making videos on the mind. But that summarizes 2022. So we got that done. I won't call it a hiatus, just a technical stoppage of work. And then we came into 2023. I did say way the heck back during like 2020 or something like that on my Twitter, Tokyo 2023 or bust. After everything that happened in 2022, the idea of going to Tokyo this year was not on the cards. But I have some very nice friends who asked some very nice favors of me, and they basically said, if you can pull $200 out of your pocket, I'll get you a two-way flight to and from Tokyo. Okay, let me think about that. Yes. So sure, there was a lot of impromptu hotel reservations and where to go, but we did that. We were able to pull it off. I went to Tokyo 2023. It was great. Like the weather the first 2 days wasn't great, but ever since after that, it was nice and sunny. It was beautiful all the way down to Osaka. We did resume video production fairly early in the new year. Unfortunately, because I was still very busy, and now that I'm a year behind on not just videos, but everything else as well, I did have to cut back my video production from one video every week to one video every 2 weeks. And if I could put in something dumb and short, I would usually stuff it into a Wednesday slot. So we had a couple of those this year, but other than that, it's been pretty silent on Wednesdays. I don't really like producing programming like that. Like every Saturday would be great. There's a lot of creators out there right now who are doing every other Saturday, but I got to balance time and work here. It's all about money. And in 2023, we broke 4,000 subscribers. That was amazing. When I really first got told about how many subscribers I had, I still technically don't care too much. I was like, I have over 1,000 subscribers, and then I had 2,000 subscribers. And then when I checked again, I had 4,000 subscribers. And then in this year alone, we broke 4,000 subscribers, and then we went exponential. We're now at 5,000 subscribers, and we've exceeded 5,000 subscribers. That's amazing. So maybe we can get to 10,000 subscribers before the end of the decade. That would be neat. I'm still incredibly doubtful that I'm going to see 100,000 subscribers by the end of the decade, but I'll keep trying nonetheless. I also tried something else this year that I haven't tried in the past because I know that some people have had some fairly negative responses from it, and that was using YouTube Shorts. That means I'm able to try and demonstrate something cool, but I only have 60 seconds to do so. So when I was out rebuilding the storage shed that I have to store all my monitors and CRTs and LCD panels, I just wanted to quickly pull out a couple of things and just kind of demo like, this is this cool display, or this is this thing here, and I just made them into shorts. The response on those was interesting. I won't say they were entirely receptive. In some cases, I actually noticed that they were actually quite negatively received. So that seems to be the going thing for shorts. People just don't like them. And honestly, I didn't like the idea either. I'd rather make a slightly longer video than 60 seconds. So I'm not going to pursue that too much. And if I do, I got to think very carefully about what I want to do. No, the release of YouTube Shorts will not impact the once every 2 week release schedule. Maybe it's a Wednesday thing or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. More research is required on that. We did try a couple new compositing video editing techniques. I don't use green screens. I honestly don't know how to use green screens. And even for video effects, I also really don't know what the hell I'm doing. So that's why you may notice that there's usually a couple of cuts that I try and do in there, maybe a couple dissolve frame blends. But other than that, I've always tried to avoid using visual effects because I find it to be kind of dull and boring. Or otherwise, I'll just kind of maybe end up with this super glitzy, like DaVinci Resolve, like everything's glamorous, colorful LEDs kind of stuff. I don't care. I just like making videos in my parents' basement. And even though I am not particularly savvy when it comes to video editing, I'm still satisfied with how I deliver the content after some cuts and edits are performed. I have received a number of requests, Trickster, you are one of them, to start working in 60 frames per second. My cameras that I'm aware of can do 60 frames per second. The system that I'm editing on cannot do 60 frames per second. Even to play YouTube videos at 60 frames per second, it chugs and actually drops frames. So technically speaking, I am back to where I was in the standard definition days, where if I was to attempt an HD video edit, period, it just simply wouldn't work. I'm stuck at 1920 by 1080 at 30 frames a second simply because I need to upgrade my PC. And as we've mentioned before, money's tight right now, so I can't afford to be rebuilding that machine. Hell, when this video is released, this is the last day that Steam's going to be available on Windows 7. That's right, I'm not using Windows 10 on my desktop yet. That's a problem. What else happened this year that was rather amazing? Yes, VCF West was the first major event that I've attended since 2019 with the ill-fated VCF Pacific Northwest in Seattle, Washington. This meant I had to get myself down to Mountain View, California for the entire weekend and then get myself back up. Did I fly? No. Did I have a table? No. Instead, I had a very nice individual and a very nice group of folks, actually, thank you very much, you know who you are, who are able to not only let me bunk at their places and steal their couches, but also dip into their hotel group purchase, and we were able to, I didn't mind sleeping too much on the floor there, that was fine, but it was great, and I was able to go to Silicon Valley. Again, it's been 10 years since I've been down into the Bay Area, and it was fun. It was a blast. There was a bunch of people there I haven't seen in many years. I got to meet Curious Mark. I got to meet a few other amazing people. Tube Time, you were one of them. It's nice to shake your hand. It was nice to meet you. I did catch the sticker that you put on the back of my shirt. But that was great. All the exhibits were great. I brought my camera down and it was a complete blast. That was a whole other video that I made right there, and it was absolutely fantastic. And somehow, driving that 82 Eagle down there cost me less in gas than I was expecting. Our peak highway MPG was 25 miles a gallon. Absolutely astounding for that car. Right up there with what the EPA rating was for that vehicle, top performer. I'll probably do that again. I also went out to VCF Midwest in Elmhurst, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. That was the first time I've flown back out east in many, many years. I did it on my own, vehicle rental, hotel, all that jazz, because the Clarion and Standard Edition was completely full by that point, so I had to get a nearby hotel. It was a blast. What stuns me more, and honestly I'm trying not to get this into my head too much, is just that first night where I'm sitting there in the hotel lobby trying to eat a sandwich, and AJ from Forgotten Machines just spots me from across the lobby, and he knows who I am, and I'm just like, what? And it was weird. That was the first time, really, I've been to somewhere with like a completely alien crowd. I didn't know many people there, and I was recognized. That was really cool. I met a couple of faces. Of course, I met LGR. I met just Computer Clan. There was a whole bunch of other tables. I do apologize. I've forgotten many of your names. Tech Night. It was fun working on your WeatherStar system, even though we were having power delivery issues all over the building. It was fun to help with setup. It was fun to help with breakdown. Trickster, you were great. Silent 700, the event was fantastic. Z, there's a whole bunch of people. It was great. It was crowded. I will double down on that. Everyone was kind of complaining. I think the Clarion and the banquet hall's a little bit too small now. So I am hoping that next year there is going to be improvements on the event space, which I think, since we were completely full, might mean there is an expansion going on or a new location we're going to. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just going to have to keep an eye on this myself. And of course, it seems that everyone who went to Midwest also got some horrible disease as well. It could be COVID, it could be some other ailments. I got lucky. I got 2 negative COVID tests. I ended up with the flu, which was probably the better. I've heard some far worse things. As we saw, it knocked LGR out for a complete week. COVID's not fun, and I still haven't gotten it yet. Maybe I just have bunk COVID tests, but 2 tests over 4 days and they were both negative. Okay, we were good. So keep that in mind. Bring a face mask next time, because I guess COVID's not done with yet. But yeah, VCF West and VCF Midwest, absolute blast. Right, now let's get to the long-winded part of this video. The future. What are we expecting in 2024, 2025, and beyond? I'm going to have to read a list here. There's a lot of things to go over. Well, YouTube is still doing that thing where comments disappear, regardless of context. I'm not seeing anything held for review. If it just vanishes when you leave a comment, it's not something I'm doing. You gotta believe me here. A bunch of other people are complaining about this. They just disappear. Okay? So maybe it's just the wording in there. If it disappears, just try it again and we'll see what happens. Sometimes what may happen as well is that I'll get the comment in my emails. I'll see it, but it disappears from YouTube. Sometimes I will try and reach out to you and just leave a comment saying, I saw your comment, but you can't, whatever, and I'll try and answer it. And yes, I do read your comments. I get them all in email form. Twitter has, well, do we call it X now? I'm going to consider it Twitter still because it's kind of like the man formerly known as Prince. Things have changed. There's a lot of people I knew on Twitter who have since jumped ship and left. I've been hearing it's kind of thrown everyone into chaos because you really did expect to find some people on Twitter and they've either just stopped tweeting or they've just packed up their accounts, or some people just simply nuke their accounts and everything they had as content is gone. They may have downloaded it. We'll never see it. It's unfortunate. I don't like the executive management within the company, but I still look at the quality of the platform itself. Yes, there is things that are posted on there on a regular basis that even I don't approve of, but I don't follow it. I don't like it. And really, I just want to talk about tech stuff. This is really my only text-based mouthpiece that I have, where you, as the viewers, can actually get feedback, see extra pictures, media, behind the scenes of videos being made, and other nonsense like that. My Twitter feed will never be political, so it's just going to be tech-oriented. And I'm going to keep it around for as long as it's there because, well, so here's how it works. Way the hell back in like 2003 or 2004, I signed up for this thing called MySpace because everybody in the computer lab at high school was signing up for MySpace. Never received my confirmation email. Okay, so I made another account. Tried again. Never received my confirmation email. So teen me, being fed up with 2 strikes here already not working, decided I'm not even going to bother with this social networking thing, and I'm just going to ignore it. And so no MySpace, no Twitter, no Facebook, like all these social networking platforms, I didn't start using them until, what, 2018, 2019? At which point I then started setting up the Twitter and began establishing contacts with all sorts of people. Foon Turing, for example. Like, I know there was a few other people in there as well, and we all began to like collaborate, talk, and I was able to show that like this is what's going on behind the scenes with the channel. So to have everyone after just like 3 years of being on the service now bail and tell me, oh, go here or go here, or you'll be more recognized if you go here and here. I may be more recognized. I just don't care. I'm just fed up with having to go onto one service after over a decade of telling myself, like, if I sign up for this, is there any guarantee that it's going to still be relevant next year? I'm going to use MySpace, for example, here, ironically. And then that's exactly what happens after being stable for quite a while. So unless something rather catastrophic happens or the site just shuts down, if you need to find more like off-topic discussion from my video feeds, you'll find it there. It's also linked to on my YouTube page. In past years, I was saying that I really didn't want to make money off of my videos. As a result, I don't have a Patreon. I still have no incentive to start a Patreon either. I don't feel like I'm producing content consistently enough and good enough for people to actually start offering me money. What I will try, however, is that I've been pushed quite aggressively now, at the very least, turn on monetization, John. Because even though I don't monetize my videos, I'm still having ads display on it, according to some people. All right, so we're going to turn on monetization. That's the first thing I'm going to do right after uploading this video here, and we'll see how things go from there. I have tried to clean up the channel a little bit, you know, remove some of the content which was a little bit more infringing of copyright. Some of that has moved over to the Internet Archive. And those are mostly just Laserdisc dumps of like training discs where the music was causing issues. But other than that, I think we're ready to go at this point, so I'll apply and we'll see what happens. I am aware a couple of creators this year have decided that balancing YouTube creation with their popularity and also their full daytime job has been difficult to find that perfect spot in between. So they made the hard choice to leave their job and start being a creator full-time. I wish you the best. Adrian Black, congratulations on your promotion to full-time creator. Same goes with you, Cathode Ray Dude, though I understand it's been rather chaotic since you made that call. You've had various plumbing and medical chaos that's cost you significant amounts of money. I'm not necessarily happy with where I am at my job right now, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I still get a paycheck every 2 weeks. With YouTube, if I skip a month, that can cost me a lot of money. And I already live at home with my parents. And yes, I do try to move out of my house, or my parents' house. I think at this point here, I've almost completely dominated over their place with all my stuff, which kind of sets a precedent here. It's just too expensive in the Pacific Northwest. Even for a single apartment, I can't find anything. Like $2,000 a month, that leaves very little room for like a vehicle or bills or food or even some sort of accident. I tried this once before in 2010. When I moved to Vancouver in 2010, like someone set me up with a job, someone set me up with like a roommate, and that only lasted about 6 months before I just about ran out of money and started asking my parents for money. And that's my fear, is that if I leave my job now and try and do this, there's no guarantee of financial success. I give myself 6 months and then I'm going to be right back where I was in 2011 with no money. And I just can't do that right now. I need to make more money somehow. I'm just not sure with a dead-end job and a channel that I'm just not confident in. Sorry, folks. It had to go there. Likewise, I cannot accept donations. I've had a few people email me regarding things they had and wondering if I would buy them off them or if I would be able to just like pay for shipping to get it to my door. I can't do that. I don't have space inside of this house. I have such a backlog from last year of videos I want to make that trying to keep some things just piled off to the side, getting ready to queue up the next video to produce it. Sometimes there's items which I've received which I can't even guarantee you I'll get to in a year. Postal Dog, I'm talking to you here right now. Your Ampex tape machine is sitting right there, right now. I still need to do a video on it. I want to do a video on it. It's been over a year since you gave it to me. I still haven't touched it. I'm sorry, dude. And that applies for anyone else with donations. I can't do donations to make a video because I'm just so short on time. That's just the way it is. And as I continue to mumble about how the walls are closing in on me here, living in my parents' basement for the last 10 years, I've been able to find some boundaries on what I can and cannot do, especially regarding all of my stuff. And of course, I have been trying to pare it down over the years. In 2019, there was a big clean out of my storage unit, and I was able to get rid of like boxes of stuff. And post-COVID, now I'm moving inside the house and I'm still paring stuff down. I got rid of a bunch of video monitors this year, which was quite nice. But inside the house, there's a lot of stuff here that I don't want to leave it outside where it may get damaged. I can't leave it in storage because it's a weird shape, but I really want to find homes for it. For some of this stuff, it would be criminal for me to send it off to recycling. But after a year of trying to find homes for it, I'm starting to get to the point where I may have to consider some of my more desirable, more unique hardware might have to end up being cast off like that. That's just how it works. I don't want to break up stuff and split it off into different shipments that send it off in every direction. I'll be at this forever. Now, because there's so much stuff in the house right now, it's taking excessively long in some situations to actually produce a video. Because I know where everything is. Like, I label the boxes when I do all this and make sure things are kept somewhat organized. So it's like cables over here, control boards over here, prop extras are over here, but it can still cost a little bit of time. Like, for example, during the winter where I have monitors stored outside in a cold storage room, I can't access that room because there's snow on the ground, or it's just simply too cold, or this year, for some reason, I'm looking outside, it's raining. So sometimes it does delay me on producing these videos, which can be annoying. So let's keep that in mind. I will still keep on the table that if I can get out of this basement, I can get more space, I can get a workshop. There's a lot of things I have in storage which are like, here's the machine, here's the monitor, here's the peripherals, here's the documentation. If I just had the open space to set everything up, suddenly the requirement for storage space goes drastically down. I am still considering relocating. Exactly where, I don't know. Without really any assurances of a job on the other end though, it makes things kind of risky. So traveling anywhere has been, everything's having to be very carefully calculated at this time. And as for storage units, my rule is absolutely no storage units. I am not going to rent a room just to fill it with stuff that I may never touch again. It's incredibly expensive. And if I can't store it here in the house, that just gives more incentive to just stack it up somewhere else. No. My limits are when I'm told too much here, it's too much for anywhere. So no storage units, okay? For 2024, I have also been asked to please attend VCF East. Now, okay, VCF West wasn't too difficult. Midwest did require some flying. VCF East is definitely going to require a flight. So I am going to make an attempt, if I can pile up enough money here, to get the flight, a vehicle rental, and a hotel, and I guess I'll be seeing everybody over at VCF East unless something comes up. Now, for Midwest and West, will I be attending those in 2024 as well? The answer is yes. And not only will I be attending again, I'm going to try and set up a table. My theme is going to be ACT and Apricot computers. Apricot computers, Apricot computers. They made a bunch of really neat systems in the beginning of the 1980s. I have those machines. They're all functioning. Before I send them all off to VCF West, I have to set up the table. I need to get the signage, get the displays, the title cards. I need to get everything nice and choreographed and versed. I have to set up the software. And that means if I have to bring the machines out to get them all ready, I might as well do videos on all those machines as well. So keep an eye out for future Apricot computer videos coming up here on the channel. And yes, that means that not only am I going to have to drive the Eagle back down to California next year, I'm also going to have to drive the Eagle to Chicago. Now, it's about 20 hours from Kamloops to Mountain View. That's a long drive. Driving to Elmhurst or wherever Midwest is going to be, that's going to be at least 3.5 days. There's going to be a considerable amount of planning to do that. You know what? If Junkyard Digs is going to be crazy enough to try and drive a clapped out vehicle across the United States with minimal maintenance, this gives me an idea. What if a vehicle with fairly regular maintenance, but it's still a very old vehicle, was driven an obscene number of kilometers? Can I make a video out of that? Will people want to watch a video like that? Would there be anything exciting to watch in it? Would there be breakdowns or anything? I don't know. So I may also just kind of document the trip out there and back just to see how that works out. Maybe something crazy will happen. We'll find out. On the budget side of that, like, the cost to do this is going to be astronomical. I haven't included hotel or motel costs in this yet. Just gas to get to Chicago is $1,000 Canadian. That's $2,000 Canadian to get there and back with nothing in between. So that's going to be fun. So I'm looking at between $3,000 and $3,500 I'm going to have to save up. That's a lot of money. But if I want to attend the show and run a table, that's the only way I'm going to be able to do it. Plus, there's a few people there who want to see the Eagle, so I might as well try and drive it out there while I can. That's going to be also incredibly interesting because at my job, I'm usually only allowed, within 365 days, 3 non-consecutive vacation weeks a year. So I might have to break them up a little bit. Maybe with permission, I can get like an extra Friday or an extra Monday off that won't be paid, but it'll help me like with that extra day of driving. So I'll have to figure that out. There'll be a bunch more planning, but do expect me at VCF East, West, and Midwest next year. Lastly, we come to that point of the video where you had the opportunity to ask me a question and now I get to answer it for you. You could have asked this to me over a DM in Twitter. You could have just left this on my Twitter as just a tweet asking the question. You could also email me. cgsinfo@cellgen.org is my normal email that you can reach me at, and then I can reply back to you from there. This year we received a total of 7 questions. Okay, we're going to work with this. Now, I haven't really spent a lot of time looking at them, trying to answer them, so this is going to be interesting. Let's go with number 1. Your favorite dinosaur. Never thought about that one there. Let's go with Dilophosaurus. Number 2. Which videos from the past couple of years was a surprise hit? The mouse. That mouse for the Commodore 64. That was interesting because that was actually given to me in 2019, and I was haggled for a number of years to get that video out. Like I said, there's no guarantees I can get a video out in 1 year just simply because there's so much other stuff I'm doing in my life. But I spent a bunch of time on that. I did a bunch of brand new compositing effects that I had never tried before, and people loved it. It just exploded in popularity. The second one to that one there would be the RCA 1802 Mystery Machine, and we did find out what that actually was. So that is a class project from the Vancouver Tech School back in the 1980s, I believe. There's actually a comment, if you go down into it, that actually talks about, yeah, I have the exact same unit. It showed up on the VC Fed forum. He has the exact same system. Like, it was a class project. If you wanted to spend the money, you could have the board, you could get the board parts, build it. He has an extra RAM expansion. That's really cool. So it did come out of some sort of design, but it wasn't a commercially available design. It's an educational trainer design, which is still very neat. Which videos do you think deserved much more attention than they received? I don't know. Like, there's a lot of videos I have where they'll only hit like a couple hundred views, maybe 1,000 views in a year. I don't really make any one video saying, this is going to be the hit one. This is going to be the one that's going to send me off into the stratosphere. I can't really answer that question. I don't really know. Question number 4. What kind of videos do you really want to make but don't yet have everything you need? What kind of videos? More technical breakdown videos, something that can actually have me work at a bench, demo the item, and then also show off the individual boards. Like the 3-camera thing that I have set up here right now is great because when I'm working on this table here, I can take a system apart, we can talk about it, but if something's broken, I have to go over to my bench. My bench is very small in many cases, and as a result, there's only one camera there. It's a very low and very terrible resolution. I'm sure some people have seen my video repair streams. Like, stuff like that I would really like to improve on, but technically speaking, it's a size problem. Even for this here, this sometimes does double duty as a workbench, which can interfere with the production of a video. There's actually one system I'm looking at right now. You may or may not have heard of this company. It was called 4-Phase Systems. I have their computer sitting here, and I'm currently struggling to find boards for it that would help me get the system running in its basic configuration for the video. Ultimately, what might happen is I'll just have to go as is and say, it's a nice machine, but it doesn't work. Question number 5. How do you look after and maintain so many pieces of vintage equipment and software so that it all remains preserved as possible? Optimal storage conditions. While the Pacific Northwest is usually attributed to high amounts of moisture and humidity, living a little bit more inland, I usually get to deal with considerably lower humidity. Like it's raining outside right now, so right, it's a terrible example. But usually then during the spring, the summer, and the fall, we're looking at like 30% humidity at tops. So like, I mean, a pole barn is not necessarily an ideal storage space, but if it has a roof and a walls and you can keep the animals out of it, you can just like make nice shelving and store your computers on that, and they'll store. Like I have a PowerBook 180, which doesn't really have tunnel vision, and yet all the other 180s I've seen from the coast have tunnel vision. There's also a lot of custom labeling your boxes and maintaining an inventory. For software, I keep it organized into drawers and shelves. I really love to have that more organized here. You can probably see back there, like all my documentation for my next system, Silicon Graphics. There's a giant stack of Apple documentation, and down further you go to Adobe software, Microsoft TechNet, and technical discussions. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's sitting on the shelves immediately behind there. All nicely organized. I can just pull it out and read it whenever I need to. So none of that's boxed away, easy to reach. Even over here with my video and media, that's all on shelves there. Question number 6. Do you own a Naboo? I do not. You know, it's interesting. I'm not going to say that I missed out on this here. I necessarily didn't care for it. It's a neat machine and all. It's a Z80. It will run CPM if you make it. It's a bit of a song and dance machine that I guess with a lot of thanks to Adrian, just exploded in popularity. As a result, the prices of all of those new old stock units took off. There's quite a few of those systems now that are flooded onto the market by people who use them only once or twice and then, oh well, I don't actually need this. There's a lot of them out there as well which have their keyboards missing. But the prices are too high. Like, if I could find a boxed unit for $100 Canadian, maybe I'll get one for the collection. In the meantime, though, I have a Command X video terminal, which I'm trying to make a video about, and it has almost no popularity behind it. So, you know what? I'm just going to do a video on that. And lastly, question number 7. Do you have an LTT screwdriver? So Linus Tech Tips a little while ago made this neat multi-bit universal screwdriver, and it seems all the YouTube creators have one now, and they all talk about how great it is. I hate multi-bit screwdrivers. I would rather have a full assortment of screwdrivers. Do I need a magnetic tip? I'll magnetize it and demagnetize it later. I'd like to have nice tools. Multi-bit screwdrivers, sure, they're compact and they'll fit into a drawer. I'm the kind of person who likes to have a toolbox. That doesn't, however, say I don't have at least one preferential multi-bit screwdriver, and it's not the LTT screwdriver. This here is the Select-A-Bit. That I can tell, this is the original patented version of it from either Vancouver or Burnaby, British Columbia. Does it actually say on here? Yes, Vancouver, BC, Canada. The patent had expired on this for quite a few years, and then in the last year or two, I guess someone has renewed the patent for it, and they're making more of these now. The idea here is that I can just lift up the top, and I can select exactly what I want, because I can see the bit sticking out the bottom, and I can then just take the bit out and lock it in, or I can spin it around. The other side bit is on the other side, and then I can just drop it in as well. However, these magnetic adapters here will also engage into the front of it, and I have the other version of this that also extend it so you can get a much longer screwdriver as well. So for the bits that I don't have in here, I can just spin it around, and I do have my smaller bits, and those can just pop into the end there, and now I have a flathead multi-bit screwdriver. And as you can see here, as I just fell out, I have multiple bit sizes that can hide inside of this tool. So the 3 most common sizes of each bit hide inside of this driver. I love it. It also has a nice big grippy handle, and it doesn't have that stupid ratcheting action because whatever, just twist it. And so there we have it. That is the 2022-2023 CellGen Studios year-end review. I really hope I was able to answer everybody's questions. I hope I was able to get everything across to you. There are still a lot of improvements to be made with the channel overall. Heck, even the lens that you're watching me on right now has focus issues, so I'm trying to even replace that lens. There's just a couple things that I need to achieve in terms of goals. To summarize, I will be at VCF East, West, and Midwest. I'm going to see if I can do a video or two regarding driving around to get to those shows. Maybe I'll do a video just trying to help set up everything for the table. So expect some videos in the future here from Apricot. Maybe we'll do a modem video. Maybe there'll be some ISDN. Maybe I'll even talk about video phones. We'll see. I got a couple things on the table right now, and I see a lot of things here which I can definitely make videos about. Other than that, I would like to ask that for the month of January, I don't plan on making any videos. I am going to make an attempt to renovate my bedroom. Just a little bit of downsizing is going to allow me to shuffle a couple things around. So there needs to be some wiring changes, some new cabinetry and shelving is going to be put into there. So don't expect any videos in January 2024, but we will continue in February 2024. But I hope you enjoyed it. I really hope you enjoy my content. I really hope you enjoy my future content. And to everybody out there, have a happy new year. And to 2024, have a good one.